Yeah, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hank Love. And I'm reaching out to a lot of book publishers, just trying to get some feedback. I'm a poet in Borger, Texas, and anyway, I'm a poet in Borger, Texas. I've been writing for about 15 years now. And I'm just trying to get some feedback for my work, and I figured, why not Google? You know, everybody goes to Google for everything. YouTube. Everybody goes to YouTube for everything nowadays, so I guess I better stick with the trends. But, anyway, I was just gonna live read some poems, some poetry that I've written over the years. Most of my work comes from Edgar Allan Poe, and he's a very great influence on my work. So the first one's called Child, and it says, over of the name for years I have longed to call, child has been justly kept. All that I once loved I call my own, because I so well know of the heavens above, the angels covet that which I lost, and no other shows love than the love it never knew. How thine beauty is much of your own sainted mother. Let no one steal what life holds forfeit, nor the soul that I have lost. Thus to the life I never knew as child. And that is for anybody who's had miscarriages of any sort, or, you know, stillborn, anything like that. So you have my pity. So the next one is called Momo, and it's about the Momo nonsense that's been going on. And this one, it sort of reminded me of Beware the Stare, Mary Shaw, and The Babadook. Both great movies, and so I was just thinking of both of those while I was writing this one. It says, you may hide under here, perhaps somewhere there, but do rid yourself of the Momo stare. If it is on a page, perhaps in a book, it's best not to find and best not to look. If you do hear her name, it's good not to share. Do rid yourself of Momo's stare. If you are able to see through her long dark hair, you will find her eyes protruding from every side and everywhere. She wears a smile from ear to ear. That is the way they describe her, at least that's what I hear. You must beware the glare of Momo's stare. That one I'm not going to get into. What the hell? I really don't know. This one's more of a religious one, I guess you could say. It's called We Were Meant to Be More. And it's talking about, just, saving lives, being the helping hand to either our community, our country. This one says, we could move more than mountains, we could uproot more than trees, our cries could be the anthem that would force our hearts to sing, we could be more. There's people in the homeland, do they even know we're here? Why don't we lift a helping hand to calm their worries and their fears? Where are you, brave and bitter soldiers? You could be the strength we need to carry on. Let not another tear be wasted, our doubts, where did we go wrong? We could be our brother's keeper, the light to show the way, if we would only put down the mirror to take time to see the world today. Where are you, mirror makers? Life is so much more. Our world and dreams are broken. Remember what you're working for. We could move more than our signs that the people wave in the streets, but if we could cross lines and be a friend today, I forgot to put to those in need. Where are you, brothers and sisters? Where there's right, there's wrong. It's time for us to live more. The life we save could be our own, and we could be what we were meant to be. This one, it's called In Life and Requiem, and what that is we all live a different life whenever we're dreaming. So it says, take this life I selflessly bestow upon the joy, upon the sorrow, for dreams I have none to borrow, and time I have not to spare. You are just those who deem and those that see or those that seem that life is more than breath and realms are more than dreams. Dreaming is the fashion, and they hold their own passion, and hope after all is the thing. But if hope has gone before and journeyed long in a timely matter passing, and the good days have surpassed me in the forsaken days of yore, has life in its favor been a mere misadventure, then life, my friends, is the thing. My thoughts are the thread which grasps the seams of my own dreams. This one I'm not going to get into. I'm not going to get into that one. This one's called Such is Life. Says, "'Tis a beautiful day for silence through whispers of the bells. A beautiful day for cannons roaring, waves crashing, children laughing. But mankind cannot be saved, clutched in pity, drowned by wave. It is a beautiful day to live the great adventurous life. Happiness is a thing of beauty, freedom a thing of birds in the sky. As the sunlight dedicates himself to its faithful friend the night, the wolf remains loyal to a love that he has lost. Sacrifice in love is a compassionate cost. Parting is a token of good favor, and hope is a thing of such adversity. There is a way through guiding light, and where there is a will, there is strength. If we cannot grasp the seams which hold our dreams, then it is by no means in shade nor in sorrow that we live for today while we remember tomorrow." This one is the Ballad of Suzanne McSwain, and she's just a fictional character. I don't know anybody by that name. So, how heaven's beauty is to thee, as angelic chorus coveted she and me. Once here in a kingdom there near the lighthouse in the shrouded perfumed sea, lived a woman fair with golden hair, and the radiant maiden's name Suzanne McSwain. Lo, and while I remained a child, vulnerable though obscene, yond I spent my days in the land of fair and bright, with the maiden who the angels claim, Suzanne McSwain. This one's called A Working Woman, and again, this is fictional. It's talking about, back in the 1800s, the prostitutes, the working women. Let's see. "Yon woman fair I beguiled not, how strangely had she taken my fancy, and had her sweet uncertainty would enchant the wondering eye, a force which would be unreasonable to be reckoned with. Thank heaven, mortals are deemed at the phase of the past, and even a gentleman fine could dare wander into the underlying territory which is mistaken for love." This one is, you know what, I'll just keep the screen right here. No, I'll just read them. I'm out of breath. It's called Yore. The skies, they were volcanic, the leaves so crisp and so ashen. The trees, they were bare and bitter, the trees naked and brittle. It was through the late November, during my most hindered year, spent down by the Lake of Meredith, and Lake Meredith is I'm from Borger, Texas, and Meredith is a lake in French, where lovers claim heaven by the banks of Harbor Bay. Harbor Bay is part of Meredith. The frozen wave of Meredith, the chilling wind of Harbor Bay. Here once I found my soul, through misted woods I roamed alone, through an alley of oak I found my soul. These were yawned in the days of yore. On that day my soul grew chilling, spent abruptly by the shore. On that day in my soul there was a yearning, spent endlessly by the shore in the innocent days of yore. That one I'm not going to get into. I really don't know how to explain this one. It's called The Golden Vision That Starry Night. With just hands that last through tears, I gazed upon that yonder shore, above the mist and smoke where men would dare claim the earth. Such a vision appeared of that golden palace, that divine rod that separates myself from my dreams. Blessings to the dreamer still, even in the night's own hour, they still long for what the heart desires. Amidst the autumn afar the altar, beyond that threshold there, that golden vision, I peered through tears. Such a vision for the blind, that would aspire their view towards the very face of Christ. Direct your path through that starry night, that gentle morn. Hear me, Aurora, your kindred spirit of yesterday's departure. Memory of fantasy, absurd though dire still, deceived I was not captivated, brought forth against her silver-lined glory, and the golden vision pure through the starry night. This one's, it's called The Town of Baltimore. I do have a lot of dreams, of Baltimore, and the reason why I started writing is, we had just started learning about Edgar Allan Poe in my 8th grade year, and that night I had a dream of Edgar Allan Poe where I was in his house. I didn't know it was his house because I had never seen his house before, and anyway, I was looking through the house, trying to figure out where I was, and the last room I went into, there was just a shattered mirror, and for some reason I decided to look into it, and instead of my reflection, it was Edgar Allan Poe's. So, I believe, he wanted me to start writing, and, so, like I said, a lot of my work, comes from Edgar Allan Poe and his, what do you call it? Well, long story short, I like writing like Edgar Allan Poe. It says, deep into the utter silence he whispers to me, Baltimore comes to mind, and I am home. On a park bench a middle-aged man sits, with the man with the vulture's eye. The midnight raven stalks its prey, the black cat. The shining knight seeking El Dorado passes by, asking the townspeople for a word of advice. Down through the catacombs in the cask of Amontillado, there are voices that are meant to be followed. I'm getting older and cannot go on, and I really wish not to try. But know this still, by my words and will, this is not where I say goodbye. This one is called The Fiend and the Friar. And it's more of, Victorian, Gothic. It says, there once was a man so humble and willed to protect the one thing that men tried to steal. A friar who was not well known spent his days in the chapel where he felt he was home. One dreadful night in the early November, it was the coldest winter he could ever remember. The humble servant, though ill and poor-aged, encountered a man skilled with the blade. A man with a mission, one dream and a goal, to collect a relic for treasures untold. The old man was weak, he wished to retire, yet remains loyal, his soul he desired. Surrender now, and all will be well, else blood will be spilt, and I shall see you in hell. Patient he was, his hand he raised slowly. Said he, my son, I see indeed you are troubled, and though you lived your life through chains and rubble, in your crimes they are lowly. I will be damned, and all will be lost, if I bite my tongue for something so much as an earthly cost. The fiend, so quick and so wise, did not think this matter very civilized. Very well, I see it is too late. Surely you, dreadful fool, have sealed your own fate. The sword in his hand did slowly raised, and the poor old man that night he was slain. Though ashes to ashes this man did remain, reign triumphant, for his life and his death had not been in vain. Let's see. Let me find it. Okay, this one, I enjoyed working on. It's not finished. It's called The Scream Within the Dream. I sort of got the idea, see, back in 2012, there was this man in the corner that I would talk to, and what it was a the dark spirit in my own house. I was about 14 years old at the time, and I was going through a lot. I would hear voices, and that's whenever I started really getting into the Edgar Allan Poe stuff. So this one says, it was many a year ago, and even longer still, in the lighthouse by the shore, that I was sure I heard a noise, a scream at my chamber door. At that moment my soul grew weary, my spirit naught but ash, which had carcassed and fell upon the floor, and my shadow still by earth and will, which surpassed me long ago in the forsaken days of yore. And at that moment in my heart there was a certain burning, soon there became a constant yearning, a desire that I had long forgot about before, a series of utter bedlam which had never frightened me before. Moments passed with no mere word which was spoken, though remained unheard. As I kept to myself upon my many butts of lore, as their voices broke the untamed silence and fell upon my, I was supposed to say chamber door, but, I put virgin ear for some reason. Shall I intrude this proven civil? Is it man or is it devil which made this deafening shrill upon my door? Beast or human who so dared to leave his darkened shadow upon the floor? At my door there came a sudden tapping, with the many voices overlapping, the voice of those who had been dead and gone long before, once a knock and nothing more. The flames of hell grew in my eyes, from my chair I was yet to rise, presently here and no further, my soul I could pertain no longer, my faith doubted by the very thing which stood behind my entrance door. Sir, said I, forgive me if I seem mistreating, but the simple fact is, entrance indeed you are entreating. I stood there with my heart ever beating. Late as the night I have no room to borrow, though indeed you may return tomorrow. Surely your departure I must implore. I admit I have not remained a well-kept host, for I am a man not visited by most. I have my doubts, and I became engrossed when I was sure I heard you knocking at my chamber door. And that's what I have so far on that one. This one's called Today's Tomorrow, and what that means is, they say tomorrow's never promised, but, the day before, you're not thinking of, you're thinking of tomorrow, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. But whenever tomorrow gets here, we just call it today. We don't still call it tomorrow, so, if that makes sense, says, constant sorrow bethought the morrow, for today is come and gone, and both radiance nor in shade, still today has made its way, but I am never promised, and I do not belong. Over the morrow cloud fell upon his shadow, and over his heart a veil. At great lengths had he lost his strength, for in life he had not a place to dwell. Try as I may, though I cannot explain why today is promised, though I am left on display. They promise good health and a good way of life, but I am today, though I wear a disguise. This one's called Riddled. There's a lot of meanings to what this poem can mean. I let the reader decide what they think it means more than what I think it means. For yonder lady this poem is penned, whose eyes express brightly, gazing upon such measure, kept well in secrecy, twixt the syllables in this rhyme. Divinity still a favorable token, though kind words remain unspoken. Its letters, the many letters which rally upon a reader's ear, does not merely comprehend that the secret remains solely in the ink. The sound uttered in the reading, although spoken falsely, not well kept close to heart. The riddle remains unkept. The truth and imaginative compensation forbids the reader and the poet's mind you to cease from trying to rid the reader of the riddle in the rhyme. And this one's called Of Tide and Sky. It's just talking about, back in the day where, people still had, voyages and, vessels, like ships and whatnot. She rolls upon the sigh of Orion, her voice carries through the broom and mist. These were days when the tide was high, the waters pure, and my soul volcanic as the Squaric valleys onward strolled, while our destiny remained entwined with the stars. I said, gracefully she flies between the Goliath rivers of Spain. Our salvation is nigh, and trusted through water our hope is restored. And brave, the brave souls braced against the tide through the mid-December, as we knew not the month nor day. Harbored there beneath the air, buried those poor souls between the shore and bay. It was there in the city by the shore, which, when it was spoken, but gave no token in the days of yond and fair. Many years and longer still in the forsaken days of yore, that those men will not have died in vain. Thus you were created through sand and sin, and shall you return to dust again. So comment down below, if you like what you read, just comment. I would love feedback. Next time I might, well, here's a few that I missed. This one's short. It's called Reflection. It's, like a, funny parody of, seeing yourself in a mirror. Fusted mirror, jagged glass, tattered clothes, a well-brimmed hat. There's a man standing within that shattered mirror. We meet again. It's talking about, you're face to face with your reflection, and we meet again. Like, that one's this one I enjoyed writing. Sorry. It's called Misery. In a kingdom full of anguish, my soul is the abject misery. My silent is the silent hardship. My passion is the silent hardship. When my thoughts did torment, I thought of death, of unspeakable crimes and atrocities. Those who were deprived of such an earthly power, those who would no longer deny demons of such pleasure. Death, chuckled I, yes, death, friend to the weak and wicked, enemy to the strong and willed. You alone are the grave creeper. By their grave I saw such casualties, those who were victim to such misery. Misery, said I, thing of adversity. On that day my soul grew miserable, deep into that darkness hating. Once I sat engaged in disgracing. I was there, my faith indeed was doubting, by a hideous creature who hid his face, which was reality. Woe is me, I cried, my demons at my every wage. This is thine own hour, death. Hide your face hence from me no more. My soul I can pertain no longer. I admit the truth, the unbearable, unspeakable truth. Life is a thing of such misery. It is the tormentor of my dreams. But I did have a lot of fun writing that. And I do have a lot of fun on most of these. So, as I said, comment down below if you like what you read. If you think anything needed to be improved, just comment your thoughts. But anyway, give a like if you liked the video. So that'll be all for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.